Good evening. My name is Mischa, and I'm a dramaturge. What does that mean? Well, all I can tell you is that I was born naked. And the rest is drag.
That's dumb. You should kill yourself.
I hate the makeup brush B-roll from RuPaul's Drag Race. What B-roll, you ask me? Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. I'll get to it. It needs some preamble. However, do consider this video a sort of grassroots campaign to Miss Wow herself to take out the brush in a mercy killing.
I wanted to see you bleed. I wanted to be sure you can. You'll bleed all right.
Hello?
I will, of course, be investigating my hatred with an academic impartiality, by which I mean I will take my personal vendetta and try to argue it as universal objective truth. Subjectivity, motherfucker! Oh, spilling the tea. Now, I don't think this part of the video needs to be made.
That's a wrap.
Yoo-hoo! Good job! Good job, everybody! Thank you! Woo! Rock stars!
But I am pistol whipped by my years of writing papers for my uni classes, so I think I would probably combust if I don't say at least something about what I'm going to tear into with my teeth.
Okay. Moving right along.
RuPaul's Drag Race is a documentary about a cult of personality masquerading as a reality show, in which a battalion of drag queens enter the holy battlegrounds of the workroom and the main stage to compete to become America's next drag superstar, a role granting them a demi-godlike status in the religion's hierarchy. Ayer and Edgar, in her article Extravaganza, Drag Representation and Articulation in RuPaul's Drag Race, writes, "The nature of the format of RuPaul's Drag Race as a reality show competition positions it within the continuum of reality television shows. The show's employment of reality television tropes and techniques relegates the drag queen heroine from runway royalty to everyday television game show contestant. Thus, the show features the art of drag in a more serialized, competitive format. Each episode, the queens compete in increasingly bizarre and self-referential challenges, introduced by a man named RuPaul, and judged primarily by a woman named RuPaul, a kind of personification of a drag deity,
And the Queen of the Fairies.
granting her boons to whomever impresses her the most."
Why should I even listen to you? I brought booze. Come on in.
And guys, my pet theory is that the man RuPaul and the woman RuPaul are married.
That's dumb. You should kill yourself.
A typical episode usually starts with the queens de-dragging from the prior episode, then going to the next day, then there's a challenge, a runway, unless the runway is the challenge. Usually, someone wins. Usually, two queens are in the bottom two, not meaning that they are two bottoms,
They're all bottoms.
but that they did the worst. They must then brutally fight for their lives against each other, going Hadouken in a ritual involving dance and silent incantations to music by women who were popular in the last century, ending with one queen blessedly chanting and staying in the competition, and the other sashaying back to the workroom, where she tearfully writes a goodbye message on a mirror in lipstick, symbolizing her blood, her life's essence, before she goes to the big drag brunch in the sky, where she will twirl endlessly and drink mimosas forevermore. This and other formalized actions repeated and put into a specific form, create a framing mechanism for which reality is accessed through artifice. Through the framing mechanism, we are seeing real emotions and people participating in something fake. The reality is constructed. I began watching Drag Race around season six? Around season 6, around 2014? I think I actually watched season 1, 2, and 3 around 2012, 2013 in my younger teens.
I grew up on this street.
very legally, as the show was, of course, available to watch at that time in Denmark.
I might bring out my cherry top cheesecake. Once nearly got me expelled from school.
I consider the show one of my first hyperfixations, which is something that probably says a lot about me. And what it says is, I'm gay.
Yes, I think that's understood.
I have watched many a season, and I've had many an opinion, and many a laugh, cry, a reaction. But never have I felt as strong a reaction than I have felt towards the brush.
And now...
The most merciful thing in the world, I think, is the inability of the human mind to correlate all its contents. We live on a placid island of ignorance in the midst of black seas of infinity, and it was not meant that we should voyage far. The Call of Cthulhu, H.P. Lovecraft.
Are you scared? Yes, of course I am. I'm scared as hell. Helen?
The sequence I am about to tell you about is not unfamiliar to those consecrated into the cult of Rup. It is ordinary, every day, well, once every week while a season is airing. It is currently, at the time of filming, happening Fridays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on MTV. Winky emoji. We see the queens in the workroom. They just had a conversation more or less summed up fussily.
And we'd have coffee, and we'd gab. I'd cry, but they'd have tissues.
They are getting ready. A music cue plays, and we see wordless clips of these chosen warriors donning eyelashes and applying that little last bit of makeup. And then it cuts.
And then the whole church would just explode. Because the Taliban put a bomb in there.
A flag whisks us away. A beat. A puff hits a vat of powder, creating a cloud of dust. And then it appears. Phallic. Straight. In the middle of the screen. An explosion of orangey red powder from behind it, comparable only to the licking flames of hellfire. The brush. The wretched, wretched brush. The rest of the sequence?
Are you saying sequin or
sequence dress?
Sequence.
Sequence.
The rest of this.
Sequin? A sequin is one.
The rest of the sequence plays out.
Put on a shiny sequins gown.
A soundboard is activated, and the silhouette of RuPaul appears amidst a cacophony of stage lights. She turns her face to the audience and begins her rallying stomps to the center of the main stage, the national anthem of CoverGirl blasting out.
CoverGirl, put the bass in your...
But I am already lost in the sauce. For the brush has made me foam at the mouth, rabies style.
I hated her so much. It flames.
I call this footage of the brush B-roll, but what do I mean by that?
What is it?
Well, I mean, in accordance with Christopher J. Bowen and his very down-to-basics work, Grammar of the Shot, any visual material that shows something related to the topic of the program that you're constructing. So, in our case, the material shows a brush.
Flames on the side of my face.
And it is not the main topic of the programming, that would be the competition itself, which the bulk of footage depicts. The brush is instead meant to show something related to it. And well, that's a good enough transition to the next part. What does it show? And why? And why the brush?
Breathing, breath.
I'm asking, please.
Heaving breaths.
I'm asking so nicely. Why the brush? Please.
What kind of a screwball would do such a thing? Helen?
The sciences, each straining in its own direction, have hitherto... The sciences, each straining in its own direction, have hitherto... I can't say that word. The sciences, each straining in its own direction, have hitherto harmed us little. But someday the piecing together of this associated knowledge will open up such terrifying vistas of reality, and of our frightful position therein, that we shall either go mad from the revelation, or flee from the deadly light into the peace and safety of a new dark age. The Call of Cthulhu, H.P. Lovecraft. Again, it's the rest of the quote. I'm really getting mileage out of the Call of Cthulhu.
My mother would be so ashamed.
The brush is a part of a sequence, a series of clips or segments that are arranged in a specific order to convey a particular narrative or idea. I call this sequence transition to runway, which it is. It has been a mainstay for Drag Race since its beginning.
I grew up on this street.
While not being a formalized action per se, it is a formalized sequence, a formalized form. It leads from doing the challenge and getting ready to the runway, judging the elimination portion of the evening.
To prepare them for their untimely end in the processor.
Most notably, this is shown through RuPaul appearing on the main stage in battle armor to read those bitches for filth, or whatever gay lingo is it now.
Gotta get me a gay, Mickey. Gotta get a gay.
However, the brush has not always been part of the transition to runway sequence. So, let's figure out when it began appearing and what came before it, so we can situate its inner workings. Because while I despise the presence of the brush, I hate it so much.
Flames.
On the side of my face.
Breathing.
Well, I got it.
So I looked through the Drag Race records for when they started using the footage, and this is what I found. We're gonna go... I've grouped them together, because some of them are very, very similar. Season 1, 2, and 3, Humble Beginnings. In Season 1, the sequence consists of footage of RuPaul just standing there.
Now, a queen who combines all the excitement of smiling with the thrill of just standing there.
At the entrance to the runway before walking down the runway, supermodel style. And in Season 2 and 3, they add a shot of her marquee with the words RuPaul's Drag Race, just if we were unclear of what program we were watching. This sequence is very bare bones. It is very short, it's not that flashy, it doesn't feel that important. The music is not building it up that much, it's just boom, 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 here she is, she's fabulous, with RuPaul's laugh instead cutting us in. And that is a thing they used to do a lot on Drag Race, RuPaul's cackle being a transition sound in itself. Season 4 to 5, switching it up. In Season 4, they do a bit of a beat cut, with the beat being a music sound like a boom, cut, with the marquee showing the individual words, RuPaul's, Drag, Race. And then we see the judges panel, showing the regular judges and the guest judges being hit by a spotlight, illuminated by light before RuPaul walks out. The guest judges are shown from the side, surrounded by like a black circle, like a very Instagram filter. This makes it seem like they have always been there, finally being allowed to speak and move as the light of the stage hits them. They do basically the same thing in Season 5, just the guest judges are shown from the front this time and they're zoomed in and they're like, oh! I really like this. I like this transition a lot. It introduces the guest judges as an important part of the show and the regular judges, and it kind of elevates RuPaul above them as they're all just awaiting her to grace them with her presence. Seasons 6, 7, and 8. Game changer. Season 6, specifically, is a game changer in many ways, but very specifically with this sequence. It introduces the music cues we know today. Boom, 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 blinking lights, building up tension, and working as part of CoverGirl the song. You know what I'm talking about. It's great. You know what I'm fucking talking about.
That man's dangerous.
It feels seamless. It feels correct. Build up, drama, all that jazz. Here, the shots that we cut to are of stage lights turning on, RuPaul in the dark before walking down. The darkness being illuminated slowly, the build-up, the shining lights, it all makes it feel very important. It feels like the platonic ideal of transition to runway. This is familiar to me. This is good to me. This is probably the one I remember the most, because that's when I started to watch it, so maybe that's also why. And season 7 and 8 kind of just does the same. Season 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Not broke, no fix. If it's not Baroque, don't fix it. Season 9 does the same as Season 6 and 7 and 8, but it also introduces shots of cameras, soundboards, technical stuff to show that this is a TV show.
Behind the scenes, baby.
In what can only be described as a postmodern meta-commentary on the art of film. Season 10 and 11 also features shots of disco balls, which is fun. I like that. Season 12 also does the same, but it additionally, and this is very fun to me, has the lights of at the back of the stage where RuPaul will appear. Spell out RuPaul. RuPaul. I can spell BICTH. This is very fun to me, and it also hints at how to summon her in a dark and demonic ritual. You just have to spell her name. It's like Beetlejuice. RuPaul. Season 13 and 14 also features a variant of lights and stagecraft, and that's just same old. This is the longest time
for a long time.
This is the longest time in which this sequence did not stray far away from this particular formula.
And the classics are exactly what you need.
The music, slowly creating a build-up into the climax of CoverGirl, the lights working with it, we're seeing a bit of the behind-the-scenes cameras, they're getting ready. This is the main event.
Oh, don't make me sing.
And this formula, this sequence, is effective. See, for example, Leslie Jones living for it while guest judging. Let your whole body talk. And thus, all the seasons lived together in harmony. Then, everything changed when season 15 attacked. The brush, and the sequence as we know it today, only started appearing in season 15. Season 15, the season with a shorter runtime to make way for a reality show no one really watched, and which made a lot of Twitter drama, and I'm not getting into it. I don't want a handwritten letter from Mr. You-know-who. Woo! But yeah, season 15, which cut so much for time, had time to show us
2 shots
of makeup getting ready footage. Huh. This means that the brush has only haunted me for like 2 seasons now.
Surprise entrances are one thing, Mr. Starr. Snooping is another.
I should have known, since I don't remember doing the following thing I'm about to show you a clip of for a long time. Why do I do that? Well, here's my reasoning. It's taken so long. Here it is. Here it is. Ready to spill the tea. It's a ginger lemon tea.
I don't want to drink. You will.
The sequence starts with this powder puff clip. It then transitions to the brush by swirling around. It's zooming into the brush and its hairs as this powder explodes behind it.
Look who's got iMovie!
This seems to me to be a less effective way of creating exciting tension than the flickering of lights. It seems a bit cheap.
Rude!
I think the powder exploding behind it is meant to show the powder billowing out from the brush. However, it is very clearly coming from behind, being blown onto the brush. All the while, the brush does not react to being in the nuclear blast zone of orange powder, remaining motionless. The movement is created entirely in the editing, and it makes it go a bit uncanny valley for me. Why? Why? The brush in the sequence is meant to show the getting into drag part of the transition, but we have just watched a group of drag queens covered in powder and foundation mid-makeup. It feels reductive. To me, reductive.
Reductive.
Is that good?
Look it up.
Also, we just saw the blender nosediving into the blush and making a mess. Why don't I hate that part? Well, because its movement feels earned and natural. Because the powder comes from something and not just behind something. Both have relatively dark backgrounds, but while the powder and the puff falling into it is in a dark room, it's on a surface with the indication of space around it. The brush appears in its own separate void dimension, a Lovecraftian horror gracing us with its unreal energy, where RuPaul, as a godlike deity, of course is getting ready in her demonic ritual of donning makeup and hair by a feathered raven screaming, "Nevermore!" Woo! And, well, how does this situate us around the main stage? That's where we're going. All the other sequences introduced the space earlier using lights, cameras, the guest judges. But yeah, why not the main stage? Where are we going? Also, it takes away the building of tensions the light had. It felt instinctive to pair the lights with the music cues, but here it seems unrelated.
Please don't turn on the light.
Let it be noted, the music is still the same. It's fine, it's just the brush footage I don't like. Bowen writes on the proximity of objects in relation to the camera. The audience relate to the subject according to its apparent proximity. An object appearing small on screen is far away and less important, while that same object, seen as big, is closer and more personal. And a brush being that close, being zoomed in on, makes it personal to me. And I'm gonna... To me! Can you feel that my hatred is personal and more closer to you? Can you relate?
That man's dangerous.
Oh, I look like I'm bold when I do this. Fun. Maybe not. I could milk these same points again and again, but it just seems so unnecessary to me to have this sequence that makes sense, again, to me. The brush also probably makes sense in some way, and then instead we're transformed and transported into this, again, hell dimension. It just seems so unnecessary to me, and I hate it! I hate it so much!
Flames.
I got it!
On the top of my face.
I hate it. That's justification enough. It's fine. 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 It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Does this matter at all? Well, the short answer is no.
That's a wrap.
Yahoo!
It is overall a minor cosmetic thing in a beast of a show that I truly adore. Don't come for me, please. The transition to runway sequence is an important part of the construction of Drag Race, but it's also just a very small part of that construction. It's important to get us somewhere, but it's just also a small thing. And maybe I'm just hung up on the small things. But hey, well, at least I'm hung up. I'm hung up on you. That was bad. But yeah, Drag Race is ultimately not really about this small transition. Cameron Crookston, in the introduction to the book The Cultural Impact of RuPaul's Drag Race, subtitle Why Are We All Gagging So, I think, writes that Drag Race has transformed not only the careers of its over 100 contestants, but also the very landscape of drag performance itself. Or, in other words, that Drag Race has taken the torch it was passed and lit the world on fire. Crookston writes about Drag Race bringing this art form of drag out into the broad mainstream, showcasing the lives of LGBT plus people through the artifice of reality TV. For Drag Race is ultimately built upon the contestants' drag. It is a showcase of drag. And though I did quote Erin Edgar's article earlier, she has a more critical view of the way that Drag Race portrays gender and drag, citing how the judges' tastes tend to favor a specific type of drag and that the artifice of the show, while enabling reality, limits the general view and evolution of drag as a phenomenon outside of Drag Race. She writes, "Though many have argued that queer visibility on television and in film is a good thing, I believe that in the case of RuPaul's Drag Race, that visibility through the limiting scope of the show impedes progress for drag culture. Because the show does not reward or recognize the complexity of drag performances, it becomes merely entertainment." Now, before I get comments saying that I approve of that view, or the other one, before I'm going to spill my tea, my truth tea. This is indicating that I'm spilling my tea. Before I get comments saying anything, I'm not I'm not stating, that either view is the correct one. I am perhaps more in the middle between Crookston and Edgar. I see what Drag Race has done for drag and making queer culture accessible, but I also see how it has warped what drag is ultimately. I don't have the qualifications to say if that's a bad or good thing. I'm merely stating that it is. And though Edgar wrote her article in 2011 and mainly reviewed season 1, the reality conglomerate that Drag Race is now has both its good, its bad, its ugly, and it's stunningly beautiful.
That's
So, cheers. Maybe this is a much bigger thing. And the brushes is such a small part of it. It's just footage. Maybe it doesn't matter in the scheme of things. Maybe this is all partly a joke, and my negative feelings are minor and played up for laughs both in the video here and in my day-to-day life. It exists. I watch it. Maybe the brush doesn't matter. Or maybe my rage will burn like 1,000 suns, forever haunted, knowing peace, quoth the brush, nevermore!